Welcome, everybody, to Captain Marvel Monday. Yes, it's the return of the great feature of Captain Marvel Monday. And here we have the new Captain Marvel, perhaps? No. I'm going to butcher her name. I'm going to do my best. Alyssa Loughran. I think she's from Ireland, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Loughran. Apparently a pretty decent female bodybuilder and cosplayer. And here she is as Miss Marvel from the 90s. This is when I used to go to anime conventions and would see Miss Marvel. This is the one that I would see most often. Not quite this sexualized, but pretty interesting. So what do you think? But this really is Captain Marvel Monday, and there really is Captain Marvel news. So Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange romance could be more than a rebound. So apparently in the upcoming comic books, Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange are going to be hooking up in one way or another. And see if who knows where it's going to go. In the latest issue of Marvel Comics Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers has become romantically involved with Doctor Strange after a failed attempt at a second speed dating at the urging of her friends. And I don't have it far enough to the left, and I'm sorry for that. This does come from a Screen Rant, so take it with a grain of salt. And the link will be in the description below. In previous issues of Captain Marvel from writer Kelly Thompson with art by David Lopez, Carol Danvers was pulled into the future, joining the fight against the villain Ovi, the conquering son of Namor and the Enchantress. During the conflict, Carol met and fought alongside the daughter of War Machine, James Rhodes, her longtime boyfriend back in the present. However, Carol wasn't her mother, which naturally caused some intense turmoil. That's interesting. Well, maybe she disappeared. Once Carol returned to the present, she decided to break up with fellow Avenger, not wanting to get in the way of this incredible. Okay. While Carol's decision led to some major heartbreak and her temporary isolation from the world, but so basically she decided to go out and start dating. Over the big picture range, this was a temporary rebound mistake they both seem to think, or will Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange decide to explore a more serious relationship? In addition to the image featured above, where Carol says that being with Strange is a bad idea, there's a key phrase Carol says in the issue to seem to indicate her time with the Sorcerer Supreme might not last. Early in this issue, she said she hated magic. So I got a falling to a bad addiction to avoid worse than the dumbest idea anyone has ever had. So who knows? But you know what? We'll see where this goes. Now you might say, well, how come you're just blazing through that? Because I don't want to bore you too much. And there's one more Captain Marvel article. So this is from CBR.com. As you can see, Captain Marvel 2 is the time to fully explain Carol Danvers' powers. She kind of acquired them a lot through the original, but, I don't know if you need to go explain anymore. The MCU has always had more hits than misses in regards to films success. However, not every story is perfectly told. Captain Marvel, for instance, is well made, but it suffers from lack of explanation about the titular character's abilities. In the film, Danvers is given cosmetic abilities after an accident with an engine powered by a Tesseract. And it imbues her with energy. I think that's really all you got to say. My biggest problem with Captain Marvel is the screen, the anti-male undertones of the movie. Plus, granted, Brie acted the way the directors told her to, or allowed her to, I should say, either way. I didn't like it being shoehorned in. I think Captain Marvel should have been something similar to Ant-Man, where it was kind of taking place more or less in modern times, maybe a couple of years ago. And then she kind of disappears because they even deal with it in Endgame. It's like, hey, in Endgame, where have you been for the last 20 years? And that's part of the problem. And, Iron Man's only 11 years ago. So there's 9 years the Earth really isn't protected. I think if we do that, and instead of having her fight the Kree now, she fights the Kree next. So basically, have some kind of thing where she gets her powers through that. And then, similar to, I don't want to say, oh, then it copied Ant-Man, but to where at the end, it's around the time of the snap or something, something like that. It went to 7 seasons. Carol's one of the most powerful characters in the MCU. Yep. Well, when she removes her inhibitor chip. Yep. In the film, for instance, when Tony Stark learned to fly, it took him trial and error. The same could be said for Wanda Maximoff. who didn't fly until Avengers Infinity War, primarily only able to maintain a slight hover beforehand. Mastered flight almost instantly. See, and that's the problem. They do give her a little Mary Sue complex. But, part of what they guess they could explore is why didn't the Tesseract kill her? Right? When that exploded, it probably should have killed her. So a further exploration might be, maybe she's been genetically altered, something like that in the past as a child, or her parents were genetically altered. That would be interesting. Avengers Endgame showed that she had gained a stronger understanding of her abilities since her last appearance on Earth, but the main issue remains that the lack of explanation of her powers means fans are primarily speculating about her abilities. Yeah, and I think this version of the comic has the same problem. This is why it doesn't sell and reboots every 6 to 8 months. Meanwhile, new characters like Monica Rambeau have opted to take time to show their powers work. While Monica's more power introduced similar to Carol's, there's more focus on how her abilities operate to help fans understand how she works. For instance, Monica's learning about her abilities alongside fans. Experience, okay, WandaVision. I was like, wait a minute, I'm talking about Carol. I haven't seen WandaVision, full disclosure, with Kamala Khan joining, which is a horrible Miss Marvel. While it doesn't ruin the franchise explaining her powers. Yeah, I don't think I agree. As much as there's a Star Wars movie I knew originally gave Luke an awful nickname. Yeah, it did. I don't really believe they need to explain much except how the Tesseract didn't kill her. Because I can understand she doesn't die from that explosion and then starts to learn about her powers. And then, now, granted, with someone getting the abilities that quickly, they probably should have shown her not being able to control them very well. Like she got really powerful very quickly and had to learn to control. That would be fine. Whereas, Tony's learning to do things, and so is Wanda. Her powers don't overwhelm her. They just kind of come as she learns, she gets more powerful. So I could see it flipping the script on that and have her get suddenly powerful, but then have limited control. So that would be pretty interesting. But so what do you think of these various articles? Do you think that they need to explain her powers? Do you think she and Doctor Strange in the comic are going to become an item and stay an item, or should? Maybe they shouldn't. And what do you think of Alyssa here? And the link to her Twitter and this image will be in the description below. Thank you very much for stopping by, and we will see you. Goodbye. Okay. Is that better? All right. 3, 2, 1. Where does that go? All right. 3, 2, 1.